Welcome to Tell the Damn Story, the show that explores the many ways to navigate the successes and failures that aspiring and struggling writers face to make your journey that much easier.
Rama Krishna Ryan.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tell the Damn Story. I am Chris Ryan, at peace with myself, as zen as you know when. I am here to share the Krishna. I have no idea what the Krishna is. Maybe the Christ,
right,
the Christ, holy Christ. Or in this modern times, the Antichrist. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tell the Damn Story. I'm here balancing out Alex Simmonss, who is rational and reasonable. Yes, we're both writers here to talk to you about different aspects of writing so that your journey is one with the universe.
Right, whichever one that might be. Good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're listening to this, folks. Hi, Chris. How are you? I know how you are, and the medication will kick in any moment. Okay.
Well, what are we talking about, Alex?
We're going to be talking about confidence. Actually, Chris has had to build up his confidence the same way I have and many others have. But we're going to talk about confidence for creatives, having it and the lack thereof. And we're going to talk about a little bit about how to deal with that if you're lacking, what helps you build that up. So sit down, take notes, because here we go. And we're going to start out, Chris, because he's a consummate reader. He reads voraciously. Right. Right. Lock him in a library with a donut and a cup of coffee, a tea rather, and he'll be just
nice
fine.
Cup of tea.
Absolutely fine. But Chris has been reading a particular book.
Yes, well, I'll show you. I have kind of a little mini pile here. I believe.
Really, I'm sorry to hear that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's getting better. God, Lord, we apologize to the audience. I believe that while you're creating and all that stuff, you should always be self-educating, right? So I'm always looking for books to read. I find them fascinating. Pitchcraft was really interesting on how to pitch your stories and that kind of stuff, and that always helps me out. I'm preparing to go to market with something. I love this essential poets glossary. One of the things I was doing was looking at it when I saw a definition for a poem I didn't know. I would try it just as a writing exercise, so it's kind of an interesting way to use that book.
Mm-hmm.
A rhyming dictionary. I'd never had one.
Wait a minute, hold that back up again. Hold that back up again.
Let me get it. Put it down.
There you go. Webster's rhyming dictionary.
I actually, an offhand comment from Bruce Springsteen, not when we were chilling, that didn't happen. It was just talking about, his own creative process and all that sort of stuff. And he said, yeah, I spent a lot of time sitting there with a pad and a pen and a rhyming dictionary. And I was like, rhyming dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what that does to my writing. So another, always experimenting, always playing.
Mm-hmm.
The glorious one knows of my affinity for self-education. And she to get away from me, I think, but she would never admit it. She has a job, even though she's retired from her teaching job, she has another job in the library, and she covers the new books and all that sort of stuff. And she saw this new book came in, and she looked to see if anybody was waiting for it. No one was. It's kind of been a quiet entry into the market. And she immediately
Scuffed it up, huh?
Yeah, she scooped it up, borrowed it for me. And it's a fascinating book, and I'll tell you why in a second. But it's called Monsters in the Archives, My Year of Fear with Stephen King by Caroline Bick. Now, Caroline Bick is a college professor, and she was named as the University of Maine's inaugural Stephen E. King Chair in Literature. And she became the first scholar to be granted extended access by Stephen King to his private archives, a treasure trove of manuscripts and that document the legendary writer's creative process, most of them never before studied or published. So I said, all right, that'll be interesting to see what it is. One of the things that I learned, and this ties into confidence, right? Caroline Bick is a huge chicken. It's just really great. Her introduction is all about how she used to just scare the crap out of herself over everything growing up.
Wow.
This was she stumbled across Stephen King relatively young. She was mama's girl, so if mama was in the house, she was okay. But if mama had to go out, then she would be afraid of everything and all that stuff. So she came across, much like my introduction to Stephen King, Night Shift.
Oh,
And there's a story
the
in there
collection.
oh yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a story in there. I forget the name of it. Oh, The Boogeyman, and it deals with the monster in the closet. She says from that day she could not sleep in a house with closet doors open, which is hilarious because I have done that up until this house. Glorious noticed. She says, "Why don't you worry about the closet door anymore?" And I said, "There's no ghost in this house." Which freaked her out completely. But so there's all those different things. So she gets this position, and she had invited him over to the university. He hadn't been back since he graduated. And just showing you Stephen King, she gave him two different ideas to see, try to give you an edge on the pitch. If he didn't like one, he might like the other. He says, "Why don't we do 2 days, and I'll come back day after 2 days in a row and talk about one day and the other day," which just indicates his generosity.
Right.
And that, long story short, too late, it led to being granted access to the archives, which begot this book here, right? So that you get the idea. Caroline Bick is a professor. She's the inaugural chair of the Stephen King department or whatever, chair, right? She gets access. She's driving from her home to the Stephen King home because the archive is in like a redone room in their house, in the back of their house,
Mm-hmm.
not attached to the main joint. And it's where the archives are. So she goes there, and when she's driving up, she's realizing that many of the locations they're passing are actual locations in Stephen King's books. So she started realizing, wow, holy. So she gets access. By the way, the person who she has to speak to in the archives is appropriately a young lady named Carrie. True, this is
Well,
a nonfiction book, right?
right.
So now we finally get to the part I wanted to talk about as far as our topic of confidence. She goes and she gets the original manuscript of these different books. And the first one she deals with is Pet Cemetery. One of the books of Stephen King's that I had to put down because it was too scary for me. Turns out Stephen King himself put it down because he thought it was too scary for him.
And he's writing
Okay.
it.
He put it in a drawer for a long time, and and that kind of stuff. And it was definitely too scary for Caroline Bix as a child. And she's reading it as this professor in preparation for this, and it's scaring the crap out of her
Bejeebers.
all over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And as she's driving, she's noticing that some of the locations in the book are on her route, which is there's so much fun there. But we get to the point. She gets this one draft that kind of has the longest lifespan. So it's from when he wrote it to it was the thing he worked from and edited before it got published. So she's flipping through it, and there's many sets of notes in there. There's margin notes, which we're going to talk about. Back in the day, when you printed things and you went over them that way, you would write notes in the margins around the actual prose. Stephen King, he's writing this in the 70s. It's definitely in that time. She, with some heartache, she says, it's not like today where all the edits are on the screen and we don't have these kind of records now
Mm-hmm.
for modern art, which is a sad thing. So it's that kind of notes, and it's sticky notes, post-it notes
Yep.
between the copy editor and Stephen King. She'll correct us some word, the editor, and he'll say why it has to exist. And he goes, unless I'm wrong, why am I even in this profession? And you see the humanity of Stephen King, which is a great revelation. Ladies and gentlemen, the lesson there is that we are all regular people. So if you feel too regular to, I can't be with these gods of writing, they're all goofy too. And they're
Yep.
all, but here's where the confidence comes in. He has gone through it and he has made his notes and he has made it gets more and more granular for him as he goes through things, First
Rewrites,
draft.
rewrites.
Yeah, the beauty of rewrites, the artistry of that process is shown here because each round of rewrites, each pass through the text builds his confidence in the work as being ready for submission. If you hear anyone snuffling and coughing, it's not me. It's the security dog over here who seems to be having a fitful sleep at my feet, keeping me safe my ass, but he's having a good time.
Yeah.
So, for example, there is a moment in, I guess it's Pet Cemetery, where someone is really scared, and is therefore stuttering, and it's written shut up or something like that, right? So it's SH-SHUH- then shut up or whatever the word is, right? And the copy editor edits it to SH-SH- and then the words. And Stephen King writes back, nah, if you listen, someone who's stuttering is always trying to get to the word out. So getting a little more of the word
Each
is
time.
really what you hear.
Yeah.
Shut up, like
Yeah.
that. And so he stead it, STET, meaning keep it the way it is, right? Again, these might be outdated now because no one edits on the paper. They should, but so it gives us some indication as to how much someone like Stephen King goes through his work to see that the nuances are correct, how they fall on the ear,
And
how
and
how they will feel to the reader. Go ahead.
and that speaks to confidence also, because especially emerging or aspiring writers or people who, you haven't been doing it as long as, and King went through his own period of I'm new at this.
Hmm.
But when you know what you know, and
Right,
you know that that is what it should be because you have checked it, lived it,
right,
whatever, then you must find that center of confidence to say, yes, I know what technically, but this is what it needs to be.
right,
And right. And so you're building confidence. Sometimes some writers would have said, oh, I'm sorry, I guess it should be spelled this way.
right,
And it would then dumb down or lessen the effect and would not draw the reader in and allow us to feel like, oh yeah, yeah, that's right, because I got a nephew who stutters, or I got this friend or this guy, and that is how they sound. The authenticity of the character would not come through as strongly if the the line editors critique or corrections had been utilized. But
right,
because Stephen was able to say, no, this is how it needs to be, the
right.
authenticity of the character maintains.
Well, I love that he had a reason for it.
Yes.
He didn't say, I'm the 800-pound gorilla. He worked and loved working with a copy editor, right?
Hmm.
And remember, this was written around the time of Carrie. It was early on. And remember, he threw Carrie out. Talk about lack of
Yep.
confidence,
Yeah, his
right?
wife
Thank
retrieved
God,
that.
Tabitha said, I read
Hmm.
this. This is good. Try it again. Look at it. But by the time he's working Pet Cemetery up for publication, he's had some huge hits, so it's a different weight, right?
Hmm.
But he's not throwing that weight around like, how dare you? He's saying, here's why I hear it this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's working with equals, or as, working as equals. He also, there's a scene in Pet Cemetery when the couple and their child, small child, are playing with a kite. And I don't want to look it up now, so I'll
Paraphrase.
approximate it, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So it says, it's flan, daddy. FLYNNE, right? And the copywriter, understandably, circles that or whatever she does to it, and puts the correction in as, or the edit in, not a correction, but the edit, as FLYIN apostrophe. And Stephen King writes back, I understand why you made that change, but if you really listen to little kids, they're not dropping the G, they're squishing it into one word, flan. That's more accurate for a child of his age.
Mm-hmm.
And that the teachable lesson there is to go around and listen to your world as it is, right? That copy editor, God bless the copy editor, I'm sure she did fine work. But in these two cases, she was going with the general accepted spelling, and Stephen King was going for the character's actual experience.
Mm-hmm. And again, confidence.
When you go, my theory or my point here is when you go to that level, that you can explain why it should be SHUH in the middle of that stutter, or why it should be FLYNNE instead of IN apostrophe. You really know all of your characters.
Right.
So
And
that's a huge lesson. It's a great read. It's fun, but you get to pick up all that
what's the
stuff.
name of the book again?
It is Monsters in the Archives, My Year of Fear with Stephen King by Caroline Bick. And I think, all due respect, Professor, I think you'd get a kick out of that.
Caroline Bick, not Caroline, I'm a chicken Bix.
Yeah,
So
you don't look
if
that
you look
up
on
in Amazon. Caroline Bick.
yeah,
Professor
right.
Caroline Bick.
Yeah, right. There you go.
But yeah, so far I'm having great fun with it because I love learning those little things. And another reason for writers to read like this, read these kind of books, is because when you see things that you do yourself, it builds your confidence as well.
Right.
I do that.
Yes,
And
yes,
oh,
you
I
do.
understand that. You and I in the green room over tequila cocktails,
Yeah.
and barbecues. All right, no, we were just talking like this before the
Yeah,
recording
right.
started, and we both at the same time said Walter Mosley, and
Yeah.
he does a slang that we both said at the same time.
Yep.
Alex, can you explain that one because it's so perfect?
Well,
What in the end?
I can, but what else? Because you've done so much with what you did with Stephen. What I will say about Walter Mosley is, again, like Stephen King, Mosley listens to people. He listens to conversations. He listens to inflections. He listens to how a person's upbringing or their neighborhood or their from what part of the country they're from, how we approach language and how we approach saying certain words. He listens, and it's like music. And so that when he writes, his slang reflects what he hears as opposed to quote unquote what should be written grammatically. And I think it's very important that, because I think, again, Chris did a good job with using Stephen King as an example. It's important that we as writers observe life
Yeah.
and take that in and make notes to ourselves, because that's one of the things that makes the difference between stereotypical characters in storytelling and storytelling that takes that next step up and really starts to pull your audience in because it's memorable and it's relatable and people immediately become more engaged.
So you're not going to tell people that word? Because he doesn't do it for all his characters.
Go ahead.
It's just the most southern ones, and usually when they're under duress and they revert back to a little more of a twang.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying can't, CAN apostrophe T, it's can't, CAIN apostrophe T.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't give you license to do it because Mosley lived it.
Yeah.
But if you go and you listen to your people, you'll hear that.
Yep.
Richard Price never uses cane. but he grew up in the Bronx and he lived in Manhattan forever. And when he listens to people, he listens to cadences. So if you read Richard Price, early ones, you hear pronounced Bronx cadences. But
Right.
if you go to his later novels, it's Manhattan cadences. There's a little slight difference. And if he mentions someone's from a neighborhood, you're going to hear that neighborhood's cadence. Fascinating. And there's a million authors out there who do those kind of things.
Exactly.
Read the
And
crappy ones, read the great ones, read the nonfiction.
so
Read,
getting
read, read,
back
read,
to
read, 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 read.
getting back to that. So in terms of how to build confidence, one, study your craft. Read the works of others.
Yeah.
Okay? And then do the work.
Well,
Observing and taking in all of that information is great. Making
right.
notes is great, all that. But if you don't apply it,
True.
it goes stale. It
And if
doesn't
you
serve
are
you.
applying it, Alex, you will see that, and this is not conceit on either of our parts, but we'll see that we are as good or better than some of the people out there. And that helps build your confidence.
Right.
Now, if you're reading only William Shakespeare,
Bill.
that's going to be a little more of a problem because one, nobody speaks that way now, right? And two, he's William effing Shakespeare,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
But if
There is
you're
an F in
reading,
his name.
dude, read, go and get a bunch of those 99-cent novels that may or may not be great and go through them.
Yeah.
And if and what I'm noticing now is when I read something that is not as great as it could be, I'm finding the patterns of why. And sometimes it's really apparent that this is first draft, or they might have gone through 2 or 3 drafts, or they never hired an editor.
I'm going to tell
You
a
know,
story at the end of this that ties
hey,
in very nicely to what you were saying about tuning your ear to the work and to someone else's work as well as your own. So I will definitely bring that up towards the end. What I want to do is, since we're on this, is I want to just talk about what are some of the more popular concerns that writers have, especially in emerging and inspiring writers have. What concerns do they have about that affect their confidence? For instance, one of the ones that I come across with my clients and my students is they're afraid that they're going to come up with a weak or lame plot. They don't know how to come up with a plot that they feel, yeah, that's going to be great. That's going to instantly be brilliant. And so they just sort of like curl up in a corner and they go, well, I don't know. I don't know if I can come up with a plot. So what do you do, or what would you say in terms of attacking that or approaching that concern about a weak plot, not having the confidence to write because you're afraid your plot is
well,
not going to work out?
I think that a lot of these confidence challenges, when they push themselves, they'll see that they haven't thought through, or they haven't read a lot in the arena they want to write at. If you're thinking of a space opera and the only space opera you've experienced is Star Wars, Star Trek, and Guardians of the Galaxy, one, you haven't read. You've watched, and there's nothing wrong with watching, but there's probably 5,000, 10,000, maybe more space operas out there. And you might say, well, then I'm never going to be able to do anything new. And if you look, you'll see that all these other authors, they didn't reinvent Star Wars. Some of them tried to, or they didn't do something that is incredibly different. What they did is what Andy Weir did with, we were talking recently in a recent episode about the Project Hail Mary
Mm-hmm.
movie and novel. That movie that book has so much in common with so many other sci-fi, lost in space, or rescue mission stories. And it is beautifully, fantastically, joyously unique at the same time as being familiar,
Mm-hmm.
uniquely familiar. By the way, those are the 2 words in that order that Hollywood is looking for.
Yes.
Uniquely familiar.
Yep.
The thing that is different, the thing that is unique and familiar at the same time, is that Andy Weir wrote 2 really great characters. Actually, there are 3 others that are support characters that are also really great. This is the difference between your story and anyone else's. You're putting in your characters.
And your
That's
take
what
on
makes
that.
them uniquely.
Yeah. And your take
The
on the
genre might
situation.
be the familiar, but putting those people in. And how do you get those people, Alex? You go out and meet people, you read books, you learn things, and all of that gets, put in the stew that is up here and in your heart and soul. And out comes your unique view. Nobody has your view. And that's how you become a unique voice.
Let me also add to that, and again, just just paring it down a bit, is as Chris is saying now, your unique experience, your view, your vision, that's the filter through which any kind of story you tell has to pass. So, how you observe the world around you. Don't walk around with blinders on and earphones in and just shutting yourself off from everything else that's going on around you. As a writer, your job is to take in the world so that you then have inspiration for stories, for plots. So definitely your own personal experiences, but what you observe, what you see, what you hear, that's a part of it. The news, what's going on in the world or in locally or whatever, that helps you. Music, any number of things will inspire ideas for plots. And the purpose, the job of a plot, the job of an idea is simply to be an idea. A plot is basically the more developed idea for a story. But then what you do with that, where you take it, that becomes the work. And then as Chris had said earlier, once you've written that first rough, messy, terrible, horrible first draft, then it's the rewrites, how
Yeah.
you nurture that into your finished work. So
Yeah.
definitely to build confidence, you do have to observe life, come up with ideas, and then work those ideas into a story. You have to go through the process in order to find out that you can.
Right. So, I mean, to put a cap on it, or, a little button on the end of this part of the show, we'll go back to Sid Field. Remember Sid Field in the 80s? He was like the screenwriting guru,
Oh, yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes,
But he
yes.
said 2 things. He said a lot more than 2 things, but we're
Yes,
only
he
going to
did.
use
Yeah.
2 today. He said, character is plot, plot is character. Well, what's that mean? Well, character is who the story happens to. Plot is what happens to that character.
Yep.
See how it circles character?
That's right. They dance
So,
together. It's
yeah,
Fred and
yeah,
Ginger.
yeah. The other thing you were talking about experiencing, I want to go back to my teaching in the Bronx days. Long time ago in a galaxy across the river. A great guy, Ralph. He was a social studies teacher in the middle school I was teaching. And he used to used this big sign across his front of his room. It said, the map is not the territory. And he would
Mm,
just leave it up there until one day a kid would ask, and then he would explain it. In modern context, this is the map. It's not the territory.
mm,
Out there, life, that's the territory.
that's right.
Doesn't mean this is evil, but it doesn't substitute for getting out, meeting people, seeing people.
Here's another one. Here's another one that is sometimes confidence thief. Afraid that they're not going to be able to finish the story, the script, so they stop, they quit. Or my other personal favorite is I got a better idea, and this won't have any problems. So what do you say to
Okay.
that?
All right, first one. I'm not gonna be able to finish.
Yep.
F you, finish.
Oh, Jesus.
Just keep going. Let it suck. Don't worry about it. Just get all the way until the story's done. If you're in the restroom and you're having a seat and you're going through the process, do you get up in the middle and say, "Oh, I'm never going to finish"? No. Whatever's happening, you let it happen.
We'll
Let
be
it
back after a
happen.
word from our sponsor. No.
Finish the story. This episode was brought
Brought
to
to you by
you
Pepto
by
Bismol.
Bathroom Redecorators.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so let it happen. Just get all the way to the end. And if so, oh, it's us, it sucks. I have a better idea. Good. You have some of these.
Those are
right?
index cards for those of you who are
Index
only listening
cards,
to
if
the
you're
show.
on Spotify or some other place, right? Write down the other idea and put it to the side and keep writing the one you got. Because then you have it somewhere. If it's that great of an idea, it'll be that great of an idea when you finish this effing one. So even if you finish it and this one sucks and you say, I'm just going to put it to the side, hit save and then put it to the side and then get to this one. Oh my God, this one that I wrote down is such a better idea. Write that one. Go ahead, write it. Let it suck. Get to the end of that one. And then you'll be like, wow, that idea sucked. Let me go back to the, oh, you know what? This was pretty good. If I just do, now the spell is being cast. You have embraced the magic that is rewrite.
And here's the reality of
And
that, folks.
everybody does it. You'll be
Here's the
fine.
reality of that one, folks. Absolutely 110%. If you don't learn to work through your problems, you will never, ever succeed. Part of the problem that many writers have who get stuck in that, oh, I'll just switch to another idea, is you haven't learned how to work through the problems. Working through the problems teaches you another skill. You discover ways out. You discover, oh, you know what? The scene wasn't working, not because the characters sucked, but the dialogue wasn't truthful, or I skipped such and such, and being able to identify the problems that you then can solve is a skill. So you work through the problems. You got
Alex, I'm gonna
get it
go
out.
ahead.
Excuse me. No, what?
I'm gonna put it another way that you're just gonna love.
Oh, I can't wait because the bathroom one was a big one. Go ahead, go for it.
Well, segues are us. If you're doing your draft and you're saying, oh, this sucks, that means you're in shit creek. But you're in Shit's Creek without an oar. You gotta get all the way through Shit's Creek. Then you get the oar and you get to be able to go back. And as you're oaring, that is the edits, it becomes clearer and clearer. And it'll be a more beautiful stream. It'll be gorgeous. It'll be a great story. You just keep rowing. That's all
We
you
got to
got to
get you
do.
some more tea, some more herbal
There you
tea, bro.
go. Yes, I am purposely being goofy on that one, but I hope you see my point that everybody goes through that, and part of the fun, and it wasn't fun when I was learning it, and it wasn't fun when you were learning it, when that voice was on you. For me, it's
Oh,
always
yeah.
on my my left shoulder, right?
Yeah,
You
that's the one
suck.
on your left. Yeah.
You suck. So you should never do this. Go wash cars. You'll be better at it. You know what? Go lay in the gutter. It'd be a better service to humanity. All that noise, right? And you say, you have a better idea? That voice shuts up.
Mm,
I say, well, then F you, and keep going.
there you
Keep
go.
going. And if he starts talking again, or she, or whoever is on your shoulder, you got a better idea? Oh, jump to another. No, about this one. Do you specifically have an idea how to make this moment in this story suck less? No, then shut up and keep going.
Hmm.
It gets fun, and that gets less and less influential, that voice,
Hmm.
and then you're going. And then you get to finish and go out and get a cup of tea or,
Or coffee.
whatever it is that you do for a while. And when you come back to you say, all right, what's it need? I'm really strong on this. Don't say what's wrong about it, what sucks about it, because that's not. Do you throw a baby out because it filled the diaper? No, it's a beautiful baby. You clean it up, right? You clean it up. This is the fecal episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, my
Right?
God.
But you clean the baby up, give the baby a kiss. Everybody loves the baby. Same thing here.
There
Okay,
you
so
go.
there's something. Well, why doesn't it work? Why is the baby crying? Because it's got a load in its diaper. Okay, get rid of that load.
He's not going to move
It's
away from this, folks. So let's
so
just
much
keep rolling with it
better,
here. Yeah.
right?
How about
Be-
dialogue? How about dialogue? Okay.
huh?
All right. So one of the other
Let's talk
concerns,
about
you can
dialogue.
keep going with the fecal thing. I'm just going to say
Oh, let's talk about dialogue.
dialogue. Yeah.
We have made
Writing.
that point. We're
Yep.
getting out of that pile of points, and we're moving on.
You're getting out of the pile. Thank you very
We
much.
are dumping that diaper.
Yeah. So another fear that again affects the confidence meter. I'm afraid that, my dialogue doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound authentic. I mean, sometimes I don't even use the word authentic. It doesn't work. It doesn't sound right. It sounds weird. It sounds phony. It sounds flat. It's not exciting. What do you say about that?
It depends. If you're in the middle of a scene, right? If I'm in the middle of a scene, like, wow, this dialogue sucks. I sometimes put parentheses, all caps. This dialogue sucks. Close parentheses, and go on and rough through it,
Yep.
because I know I'm going to do another pass. And when I get to a scene heavy on dialogue, I'm going to read it out loud as if I'm getting paid a shit ton of money
Oh God, get back to that
to,
again.
to do that reading, right? And what doesn't hit the ear well gets rewritten.
So,
And I'll tell you what, here's another trick. So I finish that draft, right? And
mm-hmm,
then I will save it, right? Put it
mm-hmm.
on, and I save it on a thumb drive or hard drive, whatever you guys have. So it's backed up, it's on my laptop, and it's backed up somewhere else. And then I save it again. Monsters on Your Eyebrows 2. So I know that's the second draft. And that way I always know that I have the first precious, shitty draft in case I say, oh, I've ruined it with it. Well, you can always go back. It
Mm-hmm.
frees you up. And then you go and you're a little more free to, well, this dialogue stinks. If How would I say that? And I have walked around the room having conversations with myself as the two characters, and that's not unique to me. Dickens's daughter wrote a memoir about growing up with her famous dad,
Dad
and she
walking
used
around.
to say she thought there were all sorts of guests up there, and it was just him talking in different character voices. Lots of people do it. Don't feel badly about it. But you go and you work out how it would say. You think about the characters. If a professor starts saying, "Hey, yo, that's not the professor." Um, there's that great. We always talk about this anecdote with Joss Whedon. I know, yes, but this was before they had a hand in a script to the writers, and they
Ah, yes.
noticed Willow hadn't said anything for a while, so they took one of Xander's lines and just assigned it to Willow. And as soon as Whedon read it, he said, "This was a Xander line that you just assigned to Willow, right?" And they say, "Oh, but she hadn't." And he goes, and he rewrote it in Willow speak, right?
Right.
You know your characters so well. I can't wait to this summer when there's I don't know, a book you might be able to get that has somewhere between 150 and 200 character bio questions, where you could get to know your characters so well that you would be able to do that.
I'm hoping that that book turns out. Yeah, it comes out. Yeah, because I've been
Oh,
waiting for it for a long time.
that's me. Yes,
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
to get onto it.
Let me
But
just
that's
jump.
how I would do it.
Yeah, and let me just underline that even more, Chris, because again, you've said this many times. You don't have to quote unquote write the right dialogue or have everything sound right when you are doing your rough draft. Okay. Again, the confidence meter that some people play with makes them think that as they are writing, the first time they're doing the scenes of the dialogue, that it has to be right, that it has to come out perfect. There's that word, right? And so when it doesn't, when they read back and they go, oh, guys, then the meter goes down. Here's the reality. As we've said, you get that first draft out, you let it suck, whatever. You do have the rewrites. But even in the rewrites, the first time you do a rewrite, you don't have to fix everything. You don't have to fix the structure and maybe move some scenes around and fix the dialogue and fix some names and fix some typos all in that first. No, you can do rewrites. Does the structure work? Second rewrites. Does the dialogue work, or do the characters sound authentic, or move through the story authentically? Third time around, now I'm going to focus on the dialogue. Fourth time around, now I'm going to look for
Right.
typos and things like that. You can break it down. And each time you go through it, and you accomplish what you set out to do, confidence meter goes up
Yep.
because you've learned you can.
Yeah, yeah. And some people they'll say, "Oh, but I don't know enough." A lot of writers don't know enough when they're writing. How many times have you written a bit of dialogue, a bit of description, and put parentheses, research nuclear fission,
Exactly.
close parentheses, and you keep going, right?
But
Sometimes I'll stop and I'll have my phone next to me and I'll just look up. Oh, you know what? In my the one that the group of friends are currently hopefully reading or setting on fire.
mm,
Um, there was I needed to launch a tank out of a moving plane, flying plane. So I just researched plane
Launching
out of
tanks from
airplane,
moving planes.
tanks out of airplanes, and there was just a ton of it. So I did a quick research, threw one in with a little asterisk, meaning research that a little further, and off I went. Did that sentence or did that paragraph suck? Hell yes. But I knew what I had to do, and that's part of the process.
One of my favorite projects to work on is my blackjack stories, and that's
Me too.
1930s, which I, contrary to popular belief, was not running around in the 1930s. So I did not live that
Crawling.
era.
He was crawling around. He's
So what I did is I would be working on a story. I would have fun writing the story that was in my head, and when I was coming across a location I've never been to, or some information about a vehicle or whatever, I would improv it for that moment just to get the basics down. And once I got through that, I could then go and I know I'm going to come back and research what was this area like? What was it like to be in Casablanca in 1933? What kind of people were living there? Blah, 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 blah. And maybe of all the information that I gathered, I would only use that much of it.
right.
But I had a bigger, stronger, fuller sense of the world
Oh yeah.
so that I could pick out what I wanted to use that would help that scene feel correct or more authentic, right?
Let's entice viewers to go and get a particular blackjack. What was the one when you did ice and I did fire? What was the name of that?
Oh, yeah. Well, trial by fire, trial by
Trial
ice.
by ice. So mine was trial by fire, and I remember researching. Blackjack steals a German tank. I don't know what it is with me and tanks this episode, but
Yeah. Well, it
um,
wasn't out of a plane, at least.
right. I just researched World War II Nazi tanks, and I got a little bit, and kind of saved where that was to do more research. And then I said, "Oh, the forest is on fire." So I had to search, can this kind of tank drive through a forest on fire? And I found out what it could do and what would happen. And that's another thing. When you do a little bit of that research, I found out that the tank would get progressively hotter.
Because it's
So then it
basically a
react.
roving oven. Yeah.
Yes. And then the tank had a Russian coach, blackjack, and a couple acrobatic kits. So yeah,
The
if that
normal
doesn't
mix.
make you go out and get a trial by fire, trial by ice, I don't know what will. But I was able to know what they would be doing in there because of that little bit of research. So sometimes a little bit of research can propel you in new direction, slightly new direction.
And again, the
But it
more
was
you learn,
just placeholders so I get through the draft.
the more you learn, the more confidence.
Yeah.
The more you learn, I can rough this out. I can do the research. I can do the rewrites. I can.
Yep.
I got one more for this group here. I don't know, I'm working on this story and everything, but I don't know if I should finish it because I don't know if I could sell it. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to go. Maybe I shouldn't bother because I don't even know if there's an audience for this. What do you say to that?
Been there, tortured myself with that. I still do. Everyone does.
Hmm.
Don't don't write towards trends. Don't say, "Oh, what's hot now? Let me write that," because by the time you finish writing, they've had enough of that one. So just write what you know what I write? I write what haunts me. And that's again, we go back to Stephen King. He says,
Mm.
I like to have a bunch of ideas and I just let them fight it out in my brain. And the one that rises and won't leave me alone, that's the one I write. And the same thing happens with me. I mean, the one that these people might burn me at the stake over. A 16-year-old girl showed up in my head in a good way. Stop it.
I didn't say a thing.
She just showed up fully formed. Hey, behave yourself. Sweet little kid in a horrendous situation. I was like, wow, that's interesting. And left her alone. And she followed me around. Me and T went
Figuratively
to get
speaking.
hamburgers. She was still right about here in my brain. And then she told me her name. It was a really weird name. Bree was fine. The first name was fine, but the middle name of Adam threw me. So she became more and more intriguing. And then I wound up writing a whole novel because she told me to. And that sounds like, oh, that's cute. But that really is the kind of thing that might be of service to some of the people out there. I don't. I'm sure some people do. What's the next big thing? I'm going to write that. God bless you. Go for it. I write the ones that won't leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing a new thing. It's another book of poetry, and it's not going to be a linear story, but it is every bit as harrowing, maybe more harrowing than your
My favorite.
preferred,
It's been
yeah,
a
your
privilege.
favorite. Yeah.
It's been a
So,
privilege. Yes.
yeah. So, and that one,
Yes.
sorry, this shit is ongoing and nobody is talking about it. And this is how much it hits me. So I said, well, then what are you going to do about it? And that's where it came from. And if it hits you that hard, like this does, and I apologize for getting emotional, you're probably on the right track. And that will help your confidence. Now, I have to separate myself from that. And in all fairness, full disclosure, I and so many others struggle with confidence all the time.
Mm.
Imposter syndrome is real. Because I am more of my material is independently published than traditionally published, I have a really hard time going to places where most of the other authors are traditionally published. I don't know that I have a right to be like that, but I know I am like that. And I work towards it every day. The StokerCon is coming up
Wait a minute. Let
very
me
soon.
clarify. You work towards being stuck like that, or you work
No,
against that?
freeing
There
myself
you
of
go.
that
There you go.
imposter syndrome
Yeah.
and feeling like my stuff is good enough. And it's the weirdest thing because, there are a ton of traditional publishing houses that will give the same budget to me that I do to myself, which is whatever's in your pockets, bro, you're on your own. So, but there is that. Like I said, the Horror Writers Association's annual StokerCon is coming up, and I am battling right now because I don't have. I mean, I have almost 20 titles out there, but very few of them are traditionally published. And the ones who are, they're very tiny, small publishing concerns.
Let me
I
jump in
cannot
there.
tell you I'm justified or not. I
Let
know
let
how I feel
let,
in
let,
those crowds.
let me offer support from a different side, but the same side. Much of my stuff is traditionally published. That hasn't shielded me from exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
There are times when we will feel like we got over somehow. We conned, we fooled somebody. Or worse, yeah, I may have done it that time, but I don't know if I can do it again.
Oh, yeah. But we have to know that
Yeah.
everyone else goes the same way. I just read a note or I mentioned a note earlier in the episode from Stephen King saying, why am I even in this industry? And he's being a little flippant, but you can hear that little, maybe I don't know anything.
Kurt Vonnegut,
I think Steve is past that at this point, but
oh, maybe not. You don't know. Kurt
Steve, you're
Vonnegut
invited
said,
on. We'll have a whole episode for you.
when I write, I feel like an armless, legless man with a crayon in my mouth.
Hmm? Yeah, bro.
Vonnegut, who has, oh, geez, I mean, a ton of work out there, short stories and full novels, and wrote about some, fairly impressive and important social experiences, as well as just the human condition. And
Yeah.
yet, he wasn't going around going, yeah, I'm all that and some. I got one more. Ralph Waldo Emerson. If I have lost confidence in myself, I have the universe against me.
Yeah.
Which is okay, wow, what does that mean? It basically means we are the most powerful influence on our work and on whether or not we do that work. If we
And I mean,
believe
he is at a distinct disadvantage, being called named both Ralph and Waldo. But I'm just kidding.
yeah,
Ralph, you've done fine work. You should feel good about
yeah,
yourself.
right. But again, we are our greatest critics, we are our greatest cheering section. If we believe we can or we feel committed to try, we will do it. But if we are telling ourselves, I don't know, I can't, maybe then it doesn't matter how much pro or negative response we get externally. It's the internal stuff that's affecting us.
I'm going to kind of twist the words of the great Public Enemy.
Oh,
don't believe the hype. If you got that voice on your side telling
Yeah.
you suck, shut up.
yeah,
Prove it.
right.
Prove it. Prove I suck.
Yeah.
And,
So the brother
if they're
just told
saying,
Public
well,
Enemy,
you
yo,
don't have 3 houses and 17 cars. That's not why we do this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're good. You know how many people have 3 houses and 17 cars, and their stuff is stanking to high heaven, like earlier in the show?
Yeah.
That's called a callback, ladies and gentlemen. And that's an extra little bit of writer's knowledge for you.
Yeah.
It's a bonus material.
This is a memorable episode, folks. Anyway, we wanted to talk to you about confidence and dealing with those moments when you lack it. And it really comes down to the more you do, the more you take action, the more you work through your writing challenges, the more confidence you will build. And yes, it will crack at times. Doesn't matter. You keep going. Because again, the more you do it, the more you learn you can.
I agree.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
holding back from the 17 absolutely putrid jokes that have come up to my mind about exactly that point. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you so much.
It is our honor to share these thoughts with you. And, you know, our numbers are very, very misleading because over our 400 plus episodes, we have had the honor of speaking with or speaking to well over 10,000 different sets of ears and minds. And we are grateful for that.
Absolutely.
And we hope that this helps you with your confidence situation or with your writing situation. But we want you to know that it helps us with ours. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. And if you want to share any of that, please, in the comment section, or our email is there. Shoot us an email.
Yes.
We definitely want to hear from you.
And please, ladies and gentlemen, any fecal stories you'd like to share, please address them to Alex Simmonss.
And I will make certain that they are forwarded to the butt that did it.
Oh.
Chris, it's a pleasure.
Okay,
And
it's
an
been a
education.
pleasure. Peace.
Yeah, right.
That's not number 2. That's
Yeah.
peace.
Take care, everybody.
Take care. Love you all.
Oh, Mama!